Data Cloud Marketing Business Unit, dedicated to the Microsoft line here at Tech Data. Joining us today to present will be Guresh Sharma from Tech Data Canada. He is our Senior Technical Strategist on the Cloud Business Unit as well. So he's going to be walking us through some very unique intellectual property that Tech Data has built around what we're calling the Small Business Cloud Server, Cloud for Small Business. If I could just take a moment for some housekeeping notes. I'm going to mute the lines once we begin. If anybody has any questions throughout the call, I will be monitoring the chat window. So please feel free to write those questions down. We'll make sure we get to them at the end of the call. At the end, I will open the lines back up for any Q&As that you guys might have. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Guresh.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear me clearly.
You're good on my side.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to this information session on Azure. My name is Girish and I am the technical specialist at Tech Data looking after Azure and Veritas technologies. The topic for today is Small Business Cloud Server, also known as SBCS, which is the latest offering from Tech Data via Stream 1. So today we'll be discussing SBCS and what are the different capabilities that it provides. I will also show you what is the procedure to order a Small Business Cloud Server via Stream 1 store that we have. And then I will also go through the deployment guide which Tech Data has created to make this journey very simple for you. So whether you're trying to integrate your on-prem infrastructure by deploying SBCS in the cloud, or you're starting in fresh in Azure, we will try to make the things as simple as possible. And obviously if you have any question, you can ask me, you can reach the US team. We'll be more than happy to assist on that. So having said that, let's get started. And I would like to start with the Small Business Server which Microsoft used to offer. And I'm sure a lot of you has used Small Business Server, or at least has heard about it. Now it was a great solution which was offered by Microsoft, and it included technologies such as Windows Server, Exchange, SharePoint, all those things that you can deploy on one physical server, especially targeting the medium to small size environment. Now we get the calls from customers every now and then, at least I get the call that when Microsoft is bringing Small Business Server, this technology back. Now as far as I know, Microsoft has no intention of bringing this back. So with this Small Business Cloud Server, we are trying to give you an alternative for Microsoft Small Business Server. The only difference is that the SBCS will be deployed in the cloud or in the Azure, or the region that you will choose within the region available offered by Microsoft. Now with SBCS, what we are trying to do is we are trying to leverage the Microsoft Cloud Services as well as Office 365 to provide you with the Microsoft Server, remote desktop services, SharePoint, Exchange, and deploy applications such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So all those things are unlocked with the features which are built in with the Small Business Cloud Server. Now we do understand that when we are talking about the journey to the cloud, or moving your small customer from on-prem to the cloud, sometimes the journey can be difficult because of number of reasons, such as your IT team has to learn all the new bits and pieces that are involved when it comes to deployment in the public cloud. They have to learn all the new things about the infrastructure and the things related with that one. And then you have to go through the proof of concepts and then generating codes and how you want to integrate your existing infrastructure with the cloud infrastructure. So we do understand that, and that is what we are trying to solve with the introduction of SBCS via Stream 1 over here. Now the good thing is that when you place the order via the Stream 1, we do 90% of the job behind the scenes. So when you click on the place order, we deploy the Windows VM in Azure. We provide you with all the infrastructure that you need to manage and deploy. And the best part is that it is highly customizable. So if you want to tweak anything within Azure or within this SBCS solution, we provide you all the tools. You can add the virtual machine, you can add the infrastructure, you can add the components as you go along, and it is highly customized. That's the beauty about this SBCS, is that you can tweak it according to your environment. Now this slide gives a little bit more information about the different things that are installed when you deploy the small business cloud server. So things such as Windows Virtual Machine, Active Directory, storage, backup and recovery, all these are part of the deployment of the SBCS server. And the things such as VPN gateway and SQL database, you can deploy this as a separate service, and that is what I said, that it is highly customizable, so you can add the resources as you go along and as per your customer needs. Now ordering this through the Stream1 portal is very easy, but the most important thing that I want to point out on this slide is that we have three options within the SBCS bundle. So as you can see on the screen, we have small, medium and large, and how we segregate is depending upon the number of users that you want to use. So typically the small deployment is for close to 6 users or less. With that we deployed one server, and the server type in this one is DS1 version 2, which equates to 1 core with a 3.5 gig of RAM. Now if you have a user base of close to 20, we do still deploy the one server, but in this case the server type will be DS2 version 2, and it is 2 core with a 7 gig of RAM on this one. And if you're looking at a user base of close to 40 or 50, we deploy 3 servers in this one, which are DS4 version 2, with which you get 8 core with close to 28 gig of RAM on this one. So it is highly flexible. You can obviously add more servers if you have more users. That's the beauty about the public cloud, is that you can add resources, you can decrease resources depending upon your environment that you have. Having said that, let me just quickly flip over to the Stream1 portal and give you an idea how it looks like when you try to place the order via the Stream1. So let me just So I'm sure everybody is familiar with the Stream1 portal, and I am logged in with my username and password. So the first thing you have to do from this screen is that in the search bar you can just type in Azure and click on the Find button. And over here, if you scroll down, you will see Microsoft Azure IaaS in PaaS. Now this is the service that you have to grab, and you can click on this one. And as you can see that you get a TDSQ, basically there is no cost associated with this one. So you have to click on the register button, and you will, on this window, you will click on view cart. So it's showing 2 quantity because I was playing around with this one, but you're doing for the first time, you will see only quantity 1. So I'm gonna just refresh this to quantity 1. And I'm logged in as my name, as you can see, Girish Sharma. But if you're creating this for the first time, you will get this window. And here you have to provide the credentials. So basically you are doing Azure registration. So as you can see that I have already done this. So we ask you for the company name. So anything with the star sign, that is compulsory. So you need to provide the information. So you can provide the company name. You'll provide your first and last name. We need the phone number. And if you are deploying SBCS as a proof of concept, we will be needing, you can preferably provide your email address, because all the credentials that will be needed to log into the Azure portal will be sent to this particular email address. So you can provide the email address over here that you want to use. and you need to provide the address, and make sure that this address is a valid address, because there will be a validation that will be run across this particular address. And when you click on continue to configuration, you can see that it is validating the address. So after the Azure registration and the address is validated, you can see that you get the window of selecting the bundle. And within the stream one, we have added a lot of options over here, and I'm sure in the future this list will continue to grow. So as you can see that from the bundle, you can select Azure Backup, you can select SQL database, site recovery, storage, virtual machine, small business cloud server. So in this case, because we are talking about SBCS, so we will pick small business cloud server over here. And you get a brief summary about what does small business cloud server will involve, and you will go through the configuration. So let me just provide a administrative password. And if you miss any step, don't worry about that, because the deployment guide that we will be providing you, it has all the steps which are required, and so that you don't have to remember all the steps that I'm putting it over here. And basically this administrative password is the password that will be used to log into the virtual machine that will be deployed in Azure. So after I have put the administrative password, I will be asked to select the data center location, and I have lots of options over here. So for this demonstration, let me pick East US. You would like to typically pick the region which is closer to you. And in the deployment size, as I mentioned, that you have three options. You can choose from small, medium, or large. And as I mentioned, the small deployment size is around about 6 user base, the medium is close to 20, the large is close to 40 users. So depending upon how many users you have, you will select the deployment size. In my case, I will select the medium. And then you also have the option of selecting the location for log analytics resources. In this case, I'll select East US. You can also have the location for automation resources. This is basically to automate, the PowerShell commands and the scripts that you can deploy to auto shut and auto switch on your virtual machine. And you can select the region accordingly. And within this stream one, the good thing is that, as I said, it is highly flexible. So while you're deploying this in the stream one, you can deploy an extra VM if you want. So if you select the small one, you will be deployed with the DS1 version 2, which is 1 core with a 3.5 gig of RAM. If you select the medium, it will be with a 7 gig with 4 core processor. So let's say if I deploy the medium one, and you have the option of selecting 2012 R2 or 2016. So we give you both the options to deploy whichever operating system you want to use. So say I want to select 2016. And as part of this deployment, we provide you with the operation management services, which is part of the analytics and everything, which give you the information about how your system is performing and all those kind of information. Initially, when you log in, you won't have that much of data available, but as the compute hours goes along, you will have more information through management services. Now, as part of the Stream 1 SBCS deployment, we provide you with free OMS services, so I will highly recommend that you use this one. And you can select the VPN gateway, you can select none, you can go with basic, standard, or high, but for this demonstration I will select basic. And you can select the SQL Azure size, and you can also have the data redundancy. So you can have LRS or GRS, but with data redundancy we are selecting the GRS or Geo Redundant Storage. So basically in 2 regions you will have 3 copies. So in case something goes wrong in one region, you have the copies in the other region available. So that is all part of the SBCS deployment, and you'll get a brief summary of the selection that we have made in the bundle, and you will click on continue configuration. Now on this particular screen, I would recommend that you select the manage partner network ID. Now this is the default which gets, but I will recommend that you change it depending upon what MPN ID you have. Don't use the same one because that will be tied up to your subscription. And in the end customer Microsoft account, if you're using this for your POC, I would recommend don't deploy this in the actual domain that you have, because in case you have to take this out, and remove this from your actual domain, you might find some sort of issues coming. So I'll recommend that you create a new end customer Microsoft account. So in this case, I'll just give my name Girish, and just provide with any numbers over here to check the availability of the domain. And when I click on check availability, you can see that this domain is available because we are deploying this for our proof of concept. And then I can have my credential email to the email that I provided in the end user. So I can use my same email account that I use, but whatever email account you want to provide, you can do it over here, and I can click on continue to payment. So very straightforward process. And you can provide the resale PO number over here. I just put my name Girish123, and you can go to continue to summary. And as you can see that the total cost of the deployment is $0, because in the Azure it is based on everything is based on the compute, so there is no upfront cost of that. You get the end user information, you will be emailed the information. So when you log in, you will be logging in with this Microsoft account, and you'll be provided with the username and everything. And when you log in for the first time, you will be prompted to change the password to log on to the Azure portal. And when you click on the place order, everything and all the scripts behind the scene will start running, and depending upon the size of the deployment that you have chosen, it can take around about 30 to 90 minutes, depending upon whether you have chosen the small, the medium, or the large size. So this is the basically the way you will go to the Stream One portal and order your small business cloud server, and depending upon whichever bundle you choose, you will provide all the information and the credential will be emailed to you. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's continue. So what we have done is that also as to make this journey as much as simpler for you, Tech Data has developed a deployment guide, and the way this guide has been developed, it is like a lab guide in which we provide you the step-by-step the different things which are involved in case of deployment of the small business cloud server you want to do. And it is a 57-page document, and somebody has taken pen, and actually I was going through this one. This gives you live links within the guide to maneuver around. So there are certain things which does not fall under the scope of SBCS, but we have still provided you with the link. Now these are live links, so that we want to make sure that in case you want to get any information which is outside the scope of SBCS, you are still able to utilize the same document and gather all the information. So very detailed, all the steps are highlighted over here. So the first thing that I want to mention over here is that when everything gets deployed, and as I said, depending upon what size you're using, it can take from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. When you have to log in, the default username you'll be using is system admin. So sysadmin, that's the login they'll be using to log in into the virtual machine, and the password will be the password that you have given while you created the Stream One account. Remember, in which when we have to validate the password, so first password and then the validation password, so same password you'll be using. So in case you have the person who had went through the stream one procedure that I just went through, and they maybe left the job, or they went and they forget to give you the password information and everything. As long as you have this information, so this john.doe, this information, you'll be able to change the underlying structure. In Azure, we have something what you call RBAC, or role based authentication, and there are three different categories for that one, which are owner, contributor, and reader. So you can change all the underlying structure. As long as you have this information, you can change the password and everything if you don't have that one. And under that, we can have 46 different kind of roles within RBAC. So depending upon what that particular individual or what kind of access you want to give that particular person to the infrastructure, you can restrict and apply the permissions. So it's very detail oriented within Azure. It's what you call the role based authentication that you can give to different individual depending upon what kind of access you want to provide. So this is the way it is highly flexible, so you can change the password over here. Now the other things over here is that when you deploy the small business cloud server, by default the Windows Server Essential will be installed, and depending upon the size of the environment, as I said, it will take 30 to 90 minutes. And if you have a customer which already has the small business server, remember the small business server which I was talking about initially, they can migrate all those end user information from on-prem to the cloud, and actually this guide gives you the steps involved how you can port and migrate the on-prem information of the end user to the small business cloud server. And if I'm not wrong, you get 21 days from the deployment of SBCS to migrate all those information of the end user that you have. So all this information is provided in this guide. And other thing that I want to point out is that as part of the installation, the one thing that we won't deploy is the VPN or the virtual private network, because we know that a lot of people, they have different VPNs on-prem, and there's no way that we can add the scripts and the PowerShell commands, because as I said, when you click that place order button, so all the scripts and all the PowerShell commands, they're running on Azure. So we are not able to add all the script because of their different VPN capabilities that you have. So we have left up to you. In Azure, we have different options when it comes to VPN connectivity. You can use Juniper, you can use Cisco, so there are different options available, but we have given the live links over here how to create site-to-site VPN. So all those information is provided over here. So when I said that this document is very detail oriented, so even though it does not fall within the scope of SBCS, we have provided you the live link how to create site-to-site VPN in case you want to do. Now another thing which gets deployed as part of the deployment is the Azure backup. And my suggestion to you is, before and you play around with this SBCS server after it get deployed, in that, make sure you take the backup of the virtual machine that you have deployed. So in case you're deploying the small or medium size, the VM that will be deployed will be SRA01, which has all the roles enabled on that particular one. So make sure you take the backup of your virtual machine by using the Azure backup. And when we do all the scripting and everything, all the components and all the storage get deployed. And the Azure backup and everything, a lot of people are new to this concept of Azure backup, and sometimes people think that because my virtual machine is in the Azure environment, I don't even have to do the backup, which is not correct. I would recommend that please go through the documentation of Azure backup, how it works and everything, because you can do go to recovery point and recover your virtual machine. But the whole idea is that make sure that you do the backup of your virtual machine before you start playing around. And obviously, if you want to know more about the Azure backup and services, whether it's on-prem and whether it's you want to deploy in Azure infrastructure, you can reach out to us. We can provide you with more information. But please read through this one and get your information updated on the Azure backup. But all the components that are needed for SBCS deployment, Azure backup is also installed on this one, and we also deploy the default policy, and you can always change that. So by default, you have the retention period, it will run at specific time. It is highly customizable. You can go and you can create your own policies. It will run depending upon whatever policy you have created and have asked virtual machine to be backed up at that particular time. We have a lot of YouTube resources available, so if you want to subscribe to the Tech Data channel, you can subscribe to that, in which we also have gave detailed information about how to deploy SBCS and other pieces that comes with that, such as Azure Backup, integration with on-prem. So all those things we have provided in the Tech Data channel too. So it is a 57-page document, right? I will not go through all of them. I would recommend that please go through this one so that you have a better idea of how to manage and how to deploy SBCS. And actually I'm just rolling down fast, but it gives you step-by-step procedure to manage your SBCS and what are the different steps involved, because 90% of the job we do after we deploy these virtual machine in the Azure environment. Having said that, let me just show you when all the scripts and the commands and everything that are run in the Azure behind the scene, when you log into the, so you can see that I am logged into the Azure portal. So these credentials will be emailed to you, and as I said that for the first time it will ask you to change the password, and after you log in, you will be provided with a dashboard, and it can be customized. You can edit the dashboard depending upon what you want on this one. You can obviously tweak and everything. But the one thing that I want to talk about is that, as I said, SRA01 is the virtual machine which is deployed automatically as part of the deployment, and you'll get a resource group. So in Azure, we have something what you call a resource group, and think of a resource group as a container which has all the services included in this one. So whether it's virtual machine, your automation account, log analytics, your network interface or virtual network, storage account, so you get all the information through the resource group. So this give you, so if I click on this one and scroll down, it will give me all the information and in what region this has been deployed. So it's very important, and I will also recommend you should go through resource group. If you are hearing this for the first time, there's a lot of documentation on Microsoft Azure Portal, because to deploy any VM or any infrastructure, you'll be needing a resource group in which you add the resources as you go along. So these are the resources which will be deployed, and this is part of the SBCS deployment when you place the order via the stream one. So let me just close this, and from the left pane, if you can see, if I go to the virtual machine, I have this SRA01. It is right now stopped or deallocated. So let me just click onto this one. And if you are familiar or maybe not, the way the pricing is computed within Azure is the amount of time those virtual machine or those servers they are running in the environment. So it is not the typical way that we do it on-prem. So as you can see that it is in a stop state right now. So I will click on the start, and from the time I click on the start button, my compute or my consumption will start. That is how you are charged in Azure, or basically in any public cloud infrastructure. And after it gets started, I will connect it via the RDP. But as you can see that you have all the information over here. You can go to the activity log. You can have role-based authentication via the access control. You can also have the availability set. So basically you can have two virtual machine for the redundancy purpose. So in case one goes down, you have the other one up and running. So you always have a redundant solution available. You can add the disk at the click of a button. It just take a few seconds to add data disk in your environment. You have the network interface. You can choose different sizes of virtual machine that you want to deploy. So as you can see that the one that we deploy by default in the medium is the DS2 version 2, which is 2 core with a 7 gig of RAM. But there are a lot of options, and there are different category D version 2, which are the latest one right now. But if you have you're doing more compute, we have F. If you're dealing with the highly graphic work, then we also have added the N series virtual machine within Azure. So these are just few virtual machines. There are far more different options available. So let me just close this. And as I said, backup is part of the deployment. So we do enable the backup too. And there's a default backup policy that is created, which is over here. And if you want, you can create your own policy to manage your infrastructure in the cloud. So all these resources are deployed automatically. So as you can see that it is very user friendly. If you're using for the first time, I'm sure it will you need some sort of guidance to maneuver around, but once you get used to it, you can allocate the resources, and you can manage your infrastructure from within everything from this console. Okay, so as you can see that my machine is up and running, and I can click on the connect button and it will open the RDP session for me. And if I want to connect to this, so I'm using the public IP to connect to this virtual machine. Okay, so it's not letting me in for some reason. Okay, so let me put the username and the password. So remember, it is sysadmin, my username, that is by default that is created, and the password is the password that you gave in the during the stream 1 ordering process. So let me see if this works for me, because I'm using somebody else's account. Seems to be working. So one thing that I want to point out is that if you have a customer which is already using Office 365, you will be able to connect, or you can import basically the users into the small business cloud server. So the deployment guide that we have provided to you, it has all the steps in that one, how to import all those users within SBCS. So that is part which is we unlock all those capabilities with the deployment of SBCS. Okay, I'm still trying to see my actual screen. So basically this is the way you'll be connecting to your virtual machine via the public IP, but obviously if you have the VPN, then you will provide the credential accordingly. Now also want to point out is that a lot of customers will be having a so if you have a full-fledged domain in your environment, what you can do is that, because part of the Windows Server Essential domain is created Active Directory, domain controller, everything gets deployed. But if you already have a full-fledged domain on-prem, what you can do is that you can uninstall the Windows Server Essential part by going in the Windows Server Essential, and you can just do the regular AD deployment, and you can connect it to on-prem, do all the replication and everything to move your user credential and move it to the SBCS cloud, and then you can move all the FSMO role by either using the PowerShell, or you can use the NTDS utility and move those FSMO roles, and then you can the on-prem domain controller, you can just do a DC promo down. So that option is also available in case you have a customer who has a full-fledged domain on-prem running. So as you can see that I am on the virtual machine that was deployed, and as part of the deployment we have the ADCS, Active Directory Certificate Services, Active Directory Domain Services, DNS, all those things are deployed automatically in this one. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so let me just close these plates and go to the deployment guide. So as I said, that this is a 57-page guide, and it has a lot of information on and the steps involved, and will guide you through each and every steps what you need to deploy and manage your SBCS server. So any question that you have on SBCS so far? Okay, so I'm sure that I believe, Thomas, this guide will be shared by the audience. We'll be emailing them, and obviously in case they have any question, they can always reach to us or the US team if they want to know anything specifically about that.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be sending this out by the end of the day today to everybody on today's call. Okay.
Perfect. So if anybody doesn't have any question, I will ask last time if anybody has any question, or all good? Okay. So thank you very much for this demonstration of Small Business Cloud Server. I will highly recommend that you should go through the Stream1 portal, and if you need any help when it comes to deployment or doing a proof of concept, please reach back to us. I'm sure Thomas will be sharing all the contact information with you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Guresh. Appreciate it, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.